Hey, thanks for reaching out. Great topic. And I was working with somebody yesterday that spared me a lot of issues that I had had. So when we're looking for scholarly information, especially for an infographic, we want sets of data, right? So we can like map the table to make like a cool infographic. A lot in criminology, and especially like judicial, legal, and like the prosecution, defense, and all of that, they have a lot of case studies where they don't have data, but it's just a very deeply informed opinion. So I'm going to show you tips for finding what you're looking for, but also finding things that have data for the infographic assignment. I believe that's if you're coming from that same class. If not, ignore. Okay, so when you do a search out on the open web, so I did a search for pretrial, and I found I don't know if it's a think tank or it's a lobby or it's an activist group, but the cool thing you can find is in a lot of these action groups, they will give you like the bare bones of the research, like what matters. So you don't have to comb through hundreds of articles to figure out what matters. You could base it on, like you talked about bias before, but you can figure out like common pretrial risk assessments, and you can find out what they're looking at. So age, pending charge, prior convictions, failure to appear, et cetera, et cetera. And you can start to look at how they're looking at the case that they're building, that there is bias in the system. And we'll go back to this one. But I just wanted to say, the web skills that you already have are really good for finding key words. So if you go to an academic library, a lot of what we do is we provide high-level evidence-based scholarship. So it's not just opinions and it's not just bot-generated content, but it's evidence-based, and you can see how they gathered the evidence, you can see the results of their evidence, and that's kind of like the main idea of a scholarly article. There's like 150 million scholarly articles. There's a bunch of books and videos and stuff like that too. So first step, library catalog at libutah.edu. Go to the advanced search, and let's put in pretrial risk assessment. If you look for it this way in the library catalog, it'll find these three words stuck together. But since this is not a smart search, it only looks for the actual letter, characters, and spaces that you're interested in. But if you just search for it this way, it'll find pretrial here and risk there and assessment there. If we want them all stuck together, we got to do quotes. This is critical for this one. And then what it'll give you is out of the 100 million things that are in here, that you will get articles, dissertations, book chapters, but we can go straight to peer-reviewed journals. And this isn't things that are in the full text, and this isn't things that might talk about pretrial and risk assessment as two different concepts. This is just like the core of what you're looking for. So at a bare bones, this is like a good way to start, and then sort by newest first. And what you would do, you're the smart part, you're the intelligence of this. What you would do is you would go through and you would see, are there issues that they talk about? Evaluation, observational, revalidation, oh, hello, predictive bias. So that's as simple as it is. If you find something that you're interested in, just based on the title, which is a good way to skim through a whole bunch of articles, save it on the side, cite it. There's a citation generator right here. But once you get a few of these articles, the best way to go through them, and the way that articles are designed, is if you go through what's called the abstract. Here they call it the description. But all scholarly articles have an abstract, where they give you kind of like where they're coming from, maybe a statement of the problem, and then the middle is how they gathered data and how they processed it, and then the end is what they cannot say unless they refer to the rigors of the data that they collected. So this is These statements can't exist in like conjecture or opinion, but they also say there's concerns of using pretrial PSA scores, PSA public safety assessment scores in rural communities. So all of a sudden we have like a population and all sorts of different things. And if this looks like a good one that you want to talk about, you can go see the full text. Where's the full text at? Oh, here we go. If you run into the full text issue, let me know and I can help you track it down. But you just click like mad until you find something. And let's see if this one's got data in tables. I mean, to say that Native American populations are at risk of suffering bias is one thing, but then to show me the data that you could put in an infographic is even better. Oh, scholarly articles, by the way. Title, it's like clickbait. It's very descriptive. You know if it's good or not. If you can find something in the abstract that you like, that resonates with what you're researching, then that's a good article. It passed that second test. And then they start out with a literature review. That's what all these links are. So they give you like the main points of why they're using previous literature. And they talk about the instrument, the PSA. But I'm looking, hey, check it out. There's a table. So you could use your math and graphical design skills to put up a chart that talked about a disparity between Native Americans and other populations in that particular factor. Ooh, this is a really good one. I'll be darned. I'm having good luck. Yesterday was a disaster. Okay, let's try a different database, and let me show you a different way to do it. So the library catalog, that main thing that we looked at, and we went to the advanced search, this is kind of like all the disciplines, but what if we go into a criminology database? And I saw that PsycInfo was a part of it too, so we might try a psychological one as well. So by subject, 450-ish databases. Let's go to the one that's just about criminology. Where'd you go? My mouse is like lightning speed. Here we go, criminology. There's two right at the top, criminal justice database and criminology collection. I think they have a lot of overlap. And again, we'll go to advanced search, but this time, so we could do a search for pretrial risk assessment. Let me unbiggen this. And we can click peer reviewed and we can narrow it down to certain dates, but let's try something different this time. I'm going to move this down to the second line. And this time I'm going to do pretrial and risk assessment. And then I'm going to use one of the words that you used. Ooh, okay. Let's do accuracy or bias or reform. So if I don't know which word I want this to be found in, I could put all the words and then in between put an or. So when I do pretrial up here, finds all the articles with pretrial, puts them in a pile. Then out of that pile, after the and, it looks for everything that has risk assessment, quotes to make those two words stick together. And then out of that pile, it'll look for everything that has one of these three terms with the or. I feel like I'm getting ready to pull the slot machine of scholarship. I don't know what I'm going to get. Hey, 252. That's way more than I thought. So I'm going to narrow it down to scholarly journals. 241. I'm going to narrow it down to, wow, look at all this. This was a big year, 2022. So I'm going to pull up the minimum articles to be like since the pandemic. So we get the newer stuff. Hey, 100. So what you can do is go through and you could see what's going on. But wait, you can modify your search and say, okay, that's good. I found what I was looking for, but I want to find stuff that specifically talks about accuracy or bias or reform. we can push that to, instead of looking anywhere in the article, we can push that to the title. Dun, dun, dun. And now I'm thinking I'm not going to get very many. Let's see what we get. Hey, 22. Look at that. Pretrial reform. Okay, I'm gonna take a final risk, and I'm gonna modify our search one more time, and I'm gonna put these two terms back together. So it has to find those right there. Is this going to destroy my search? 8 results. Hey, cool. Look at that. I'll be darned. I'll send you this string in the body of the email. So here's what you do. If you find an article that says full text, you click on it. It's easy. There's a citation generator in here somewhere. But what if you can't find the full text? Click on Find It, and then it'll go back to the library catalog again, maybe, and then it'll say go to these journals. And then we'll see if it gets us in. Hey, it worked. Let's see if this one has a table. Looking for tables. There's the method. Yeah, this is much better than the one that I worked on yesterday. Okay, let me know how it goes. You should be able to find a lot of what you're interested in, but use these ideas of kind of like focusing on your search or starting out really generically and then moving in and out, and you should be able to find what you're looking for.